Welcome to Conversations with LSNTAP, where we meet interesting people and hear how they are increasing access to justice through technology. Here's your host, Shelley Reed.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're back with Conversations with LSNTAP, and today we have a guest, Tom Martin, who is the CEO and founder of LawDroid. He's also the co-founder of the American Legal Technology Awards. Tom, would you like to give a little introduction to yourself to our audience?
Happy to, Shelley, and thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it. Um, I am the founder of LawDroid, but that, by the way, has been a company that's been around for 8 years. So we were into chatbots and AI before it was cool, but thankfully it's blown up now, and a lot of people are getting to know the benefits and the fun stuff you could do with AI and chatbots. I'm also a lawyer. I've been practicing for 26 years now. I can't wrap my head around that, but that's a reality. And so kind of go between both worlds. But I've always loved technology, and I encourage everyone to be curious and experiment with these tools because that's how you learn. Wrote my first program in BASIC back when I was 11 years old, and have been bitten by the bug ever since.
Awesome. So you went into it a little bit, but so how did your career path lead you where you are today? Can you talk a little bit about where you started and how you got exactly where you are now?
Sure. Well, when I got out of law school, I didn't directly go into practicing law. I did work in the entertainment business for a little while, and that taught me some really good business skills, which I think came in handy later. My first job as a lawyer was a litigator, and I defended a lot of depositions, went into actually trying cases, and so I got a lot of the same experience I think a lot of practicing lawyers got out there working for a firm where you're dealing with grueling hours and all that stuff. And almost immediately after working for about 3 different law firms, I wanted to start my own firm just because I felt that there was a pull towards wanting to do it my way, wanting to do it differently, wanting to incorporate tools that would make it easier, not just for me, but also for the clients and people who would work with me. And so that's how I thought to put these two things together is by starting my own firm, and then I had the freedom to incorporate technology tools.
That's awesome. So, I mean, I know some of the answer for this next question, but are there any social media channels that have helped in forging your career path?
Well, I love Twitter, or X as they call it now. Like that's one of them. There's been some issues with them in the past couple of years. Um, but I think involvement on that initially, when I first got on, let me like connect with some people that I hadn't initially connected with. And then obviously LinkedIn is a huge source now, I think even more so than Twitter, for like just meeting people that are in the same circles, same mind space too, about interest in legal technology. And it's just really good at bringing us all together. To a lesser extent, Threads, which is still kind of in its nascent state. And Instagram is always fun just to see what everybody's up to.
Awesome. So, I guess some background history for our audience. I first met Tom through the Access to Justice Tech Fellows program. And I know that Tom is also involved in many other kinds of things like the American Legal Technology Awards. So it'd be interesting to hear, Tom, how you balance your work at LawDroid with all of your other projects.
Yeah, it's funny you ask me that because I ask people that I interview that question quite often. So to get it, the tables turned on me. I don't have a good answer for it. I think, you know, the secret is just to make it something you really enjoy. And the way to balance it is just that it's all part of the same thread of loving legal innovation, loving to make things better for people. Um, and I mean end users like consumers of legal services, not just the lawyers, and making it more convenient for them, easier for them. And so all of these different interests from American Legal Technology Awards, which is for making law better, as well as Vancouver Legal Hackers that I founded here with some other co-founders. Like all of that is towards trying to think differently about how we're doing the law and how to make it better. And I think it's just reinvigorating to be in a community of like-minded people that also care about that.
So before we started recording today, we talked a little bit about what we've done this summer. And I think it would be interesting for your audience to hear what you do, or tell us a little bit about yourself outside of work. What are your interests when you have time?
My interests when I have time are, I love to read. It's a rare luxury. Um, and actually the best way that I do it is actually going to the library, unplugging, getting a little cubicle and just reading. It is a rare luxury. It doesn't come up very often, but like right now I'm reading through a book where I'm getting to do that. And it's very nice because, that kind of deep work of disconnecting oneself despite all the AI, that's flooding us, it's still, something that's personally satisfying, right? So reading,
Absolutely.
yeah, but also like not only the mind, but the body. Like I've been working out for the past 3 years, and then throw some swimming in there. Helps to keep the body in sync too.
Certainly something, as I'm getting older, I'm discovering that it becomes more important, certainly. So tell us how you came about founding LawDroid and building the company.
Sure. Well, I founded LawDroid 8 years ago, and I was inspired initially by Joshua Browder, who founded Do Not Pay. I read an article about him creating chatbots to help people with legal problems, right? In that case, it was fighting tickets, parking tickets. And just that putting putting the two and two together of like using some kind of chatbot to help with a legal issue and then being able to automate that kind of provision of information was just revolutionary for me. LegalZoom had kind of solved legal documents, but solving like provision of legal information on the fly and then putting those two things together, to me, that was worth throwing my cards or getting some cards, throwing some money into the, you know what I'm trying to say, like betting on AI made a lot of sense. And I've been forever grateful that I jumped into it when I did.
Awesome. So what are some of the challenges that you faced along the way?
Oh, there's been a lot. Uh, I think the first one that still remains is getting lawyers on board because one, group of my customers is lawyers and law firms. And for many years, I've been, even before LawDroid, trying to convince them of the benefits of using technology to make their lives easier. And that's always been a very difficult thing to do with lawyers. I think that is starting to change. It hasn't been a complete sea change, but I think with ChatGPT, with generative AI kind of flooding the field, it's definitely making lawyers aware of it and that there are benefits to it. A figure that I saw recently was that 47% of lawyers had used AI in some fashion. I don't know that that means regular use of that caliber, that dimension, but it's definitely opening people's eyes.
That's interesting. I actually think that I would have thought it would have been lower. So that's actually, to me, is a good sign. If 47% of attorneys have tried AI, that means we're making progress. So that leads a question. So there are two legal tech markets, right? We have the greater legal tech market, and then there's the greater, or the legal aid legal tech market. Um, and I know this wasn't on our question list, but which of those markets are you focusing on, or are you trying to enter both markets?
Well, I think I know that LawDroid exists in both markets. So we the strategy that I pursued that allows LawDroid to continue to maintain its independence and being bootstrapped from its own profits is that we have two lines of business. One line of business is legal aid and legal organizations, where we help legal aid to scale, what their provision of services to people in need. And so that's been our longstanding line of business, and it's been mutually beneficial. Naturally, legal aid, they have that scaling problem. They have thousands of people that would otherwise go with their needs unmet, and we get to help them meet their needs. It's a beautiful marriage. And
It is.
yeah, and on the other hand, that the income that's come from that has supported building out the SaaS platform for lawyers and law firms and growing that over time, because necessarily you learn what people want and how to make it better, and you have to improve it. And so those two things working hand in hand have really benefited each other and us.
And I think that's pretty unusual in the market for an organization, and especially a very small organization, to try to be in both markets. So I applaud that, because it is tough to break into one, but you've been able to do both. So that's a great accomplishment. Are there any
Thank you.
success stories that you can share with our audience?
Sure. One of our private victories is working. I mean, in terms of servicing a private company, is a legal insurance company, right? And they have a network of 15,000 lawyers that they need to communicate with, and they need to essentially bridge the gap in terms of lawyers having a lot of frequently asked questions, trying to provide them with information and services so that they can continue to do the good work that they do for the members who are paying for legal advice and services. And so we provide, an AI agent solution that handles those frequently asked questions, gets most of the service requests done for the legal insurance company, so they don't have to have as many boots on the ground as they used to. And we're talking, tens of thousands of exchanges per month, and that has considerably led to a benefit for that company. Legal aid, we've been working with Legal Aid of North Carolina, and the results have been really impressive so far, I think, in terms of what we've been able to put together in a short amount of time. And so it'll allow, thousands of people to get the legal information they need. And at the same time, we can expand the amount of knowledge that we're putting into the bot, so that over time it could get better at the kind of service it could provide. And then on the lawyer side, just one last one, is that we've had great success in helping lawyers to get more leads with a legal aid capture bot that we have.
That's great. So we've been talking about LawDroid, and you hinted at how it functions during that answer, but would you like to explain to our audience how LawDroid works and what the benefits are for users?
Definitely. So we have two products. One is LawDroid Copilot, which is a legal AI assistant, kind of in the vein of CoCounsel or Harvey or some others along those lines. Some basic legal research, document analysis, summarization, and a Swiss Army knife of additional tools. But the one that makes it really, really interesting and opens up, to whatever your imagination can think of, is LawDroid Builder. And so with LawDroid Builder, you could build a custom AI agent. And we have a few templates built in, but one of them is a lead capture bot that can help lawyers to capture leads. But I think one that's most relevant to legal aid is our generative AI Q&A bot. So you give it the knowledge you want it to know about, you connect the knowledge to a chat bot, and it could use OpenAI, it could use Anthropic or Google's Gemini to answer questions on the fly. And so being able to service thousands of people simultaneously is now a possibility.
That's really interesting. And do organizations get to choose which platform that the bot is attached to, for lack of a better term?
Yeah, they can. I think most of them on our recommendation, actually have chosen for now to use GPT-4o because it is by far the strongest model and the least expensive for what it could do. But that could change, as you know, like the models are getting updated practically monthly, and their capabilities are also changing. So you never know, but we're agnostic, so we could stick with the best.
Awesome. So is LawDroid available to users across the country, other countries? How far is your reach, and are you looking at expanding that?
Always looking to expand it, Shelley. But yeah, I mean, we're available in the United States, Canada, the UK, all the Commonwealth countries can make use of our technology. But we've had some people from continental Europe, interested in using it as well. One thing though is that for Copilot, when it comes to the legal research, we are limited to US, case law. We're not tapped into international law. But for most of the applications we have, it's independent of that. It's, it's providing services at scale.
Awesome. So we've already addressed how nonprofit organizations can harness the power of LawDroid. But what are some of the myths and misconceptions that you encounter on a daily basis when people hear chatbot or the other services that you provide?
So it's one of either extreme. Like either one misconception is that this is magic and whatever I want the AI to do, it should be able to do it instantaneously, regardless of how complex or sophisticated my request is. It should just do it like that. And if it doesn't do that, well, I don't have time for you. That's one, objection that we get. The other kind is where they're not expecting magic, but they are expecting that it's a terrible thing, that we should never use it, AI bad. That, like anything you say to it is instantly going to be published for the world to see, and that it's just a catastrophe waiting to happen, both sides of that spectrum are not true. And so, it's part of our job is to educate people as to what it can do.
And I appreciate that. We had a conversation. It's been probably a year and a half, maybe 2 years now. And that conversation sparked a desire to learn more about artificial intelligence. And I came home, and then I had to come back and talk to you later and apologize that, that I had probably rolled my eyes during the conversation. But you educated me and changed my perception and helped me see the possibilities of what artificial intelligence can do for humanity in general, but for lawyers. And so I appreciate that you take on that education role. It's been something that I think has been beneficial for, I know at the legal aid conferences, you help spread information and share your knowledge. And I think that's can only be a good thing. So turning to kind of a different area of what you're involved in, I'd like to talk a little bit about the creation of the American Legal Technology Awards. The awards are coming up in October, so I'd kind of like to hear the history of how that got started.
Happy to, but I want to say, like, no apologies necessary, Shelley. I mean, we're all on a learning journey with AI. I think anybody who says anything different, that they knew it was all coming and knew exactly how it's going to play out, is just not telling the truth. So, all of us have to, I think if you approach it with curiosity, it naturally implies some humbleness towards learning new stuff. So, good on you for learning new stuff. Like when it comes to the American Legal Technology Awards, how that came together initially was just from that same spirit of curiosity and wanting to get together people that care about, first of all, that they care about, number one, something, and that something is innovating to make the law more accessible and better for people. And so each of our categories that we give awards out it has that stipulation that it's bettering things in some way. And, my co-founders, Kat Moon, who's a professor at Vanderbilt that I know you know, but the people watching might not be as familiar with her, but she is leading an AI lab there that is doing wonderful work. And Patrick Pallas, who is a workers' compensation lawyer out of Tacoma, Washington. Um, you know, it really just came from our grassroots interest in holding up examples of people that are doing really great work, and hopefully from the recognition that they continue to do so. I'm sure they would continue to do so anyways, but at least, you know, feel the sense of being seen, and that we all benefit from it because we see examples of how it could be done right, and that it would be a nice positive feedback loop for all of us.
It's certainly something to appreciate, having the opportunity to um, participate as a judge this year has been, kind of a highlight of my year. And I think the more people that learn that these awards are out there, the better. I think we can only get better. But it's really interesting to me because, Kat and Patrick and yourself, I mean, you all have very, it's a varied career path, so it's interesting how those three paths somehow crossed and you built this award, which I believe you're in is it third or fifth year now?
It's actually our fifth year. It's our third year in person, but fifth year overall because we started right when the pandemic started. Yeah.
So that's awesome. So everyone, we'll make sure that we have information on the awards linked with this episode, and definitely check it out. And if you're happening to go to Clio's conference, be sure to check out the chance to attend the gala. Um, so we heard some success stories about LawDroid earlier, but I would like to hear and know if there's a particular story from the American Legal Technology Awards that touched you and let you know that you were on the right path with the awards.
Well, first off, I just want to say thank you very much for volunteering this year as a judge. It's an honor to have you on board helping us. I think it's actually things like that where I get to work with people that I enjoy spending time with, like yourself, that is part of what makes it worthwhile. One that I remember from this last year was Carolyn Elephant. She won the inaugural year that we had the Lifetime Achievement Award, and she has been working tirelessly for many, many years. And, and she certainly deserves more than one Lifetime Achievement Award. And also, like, the work that she's done has benefited thousands of people, that I know for myself that when I hung out my own shingle in 2006, besides who was it? I can't remember the name of there's an old book that sorry, I'm forgetting that right now. But she was a guide that I looked to about how to run my own practice, and really, set me on a path to being able to feel confident about doing that. So I know if she affected me, she's affected thousands of people over the years and helped them to learn more about how to do it the right way. And so, anyways, my point is getting to honor her was an honor itself, and getting to learn from her has been a fantastic journey.
She's still out there. I know when I was in law school, through Twitter, now X, Carolyn was one of the voices that I definitely heard from in the space. And myshingle.com is her website for anyone who is interested. I learned a lot just in law school from seeing what she was doing and made note of it and joined her. She had an opportunity to join her some kind of membership that would help you develop documents for your firm and other things. And she's had an AI program that she did for the state bar in DC. So if you aren't familiar with Carolyn, I can second Tom's thoughts on getting to know Carolyn and her work. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
So as you look back on your career and what you're doing currently, how are you measuring the impact of your work? You know, what lets you put your head down at the end of the day and be content with where you are?
It's little things. It's some feedback that you get from a student that attended one of your classes. Like some of the webinars that I've given, where, you know, they talk about how it made it so that it was easily approachable, that it wasn't as scary as they thought it was. That's one thing. Another thing is, like I mentioned with Carolyn, getting to meet people like that and learn from them. It's, you know, getting to work with you volunteering. It's getting to work with, you know, Kat and Patrick. It's all of those things combined that I think it makes you feel a part of a community of people that care about this. And that's really what makes it worthwhile and fulfilling.
That's awesome. You know, and if we all could have that experience, I think we'd all be happier, be in a better place.
And not feel so disconnected from each other, because ultimately we're all here, we're all, you know, working on similar things, and we have a lot to learn from each other.
Absolutely. So what are your goals and vision for the future? Whether that's with LawDroid or for the American Legal Technology Awards or both?
Ooh, that's a big one. You know, the big ones about the future are kind of hard. I think the most that I can ask of myself right now is just to keep on the path that I've been on. I've been plugging away for 8 years, and then finally now people are taking interest in this. I think just doing what I could do. I am bootstrapped, continue with the company, like making the tools that we have more useful to people, trying to spread the word and help people to understand how to use these tools and how to feel about them, that they could be a creative collaborator and partner, and not to be afraid of them. That's all I could really do. That's all that's within my control. And I enjoy doing it.
That's great. You know, that's um, when you have a clear vision, you know, I think that that helps make life easier. You know, when you've got your plan and you're working it, it's always a great thing. So, what is one question that you wish that people would ask when you're being interviewed? And the answer, if you want to give it.
uh, I don't know what's my favorite song. Um, I don't know. Lately, you know, a little bit influenced by my younger daughter Maya, and there's this group called Beach Bunny, and they have a song called Oxygen, and I've always been a sucker for alternative anthem like type songs, and this song Oxygen is just kind of a full-throated punk-ish kind of ode to, I think, youthful ambition, and it's just a very positive song. And yeah, so I like listening to that. It revs me up and makes me feel like to keep going is a good thing.
Awesome. And I would say that just guessing that music has some influence on your t-shirts that you wear. If you've ever seen Tom at a conference, he generally has a LawDroid t-shirt, and many of them seem to have a rock kind of punk kind of influence. I may be completely wrong, but that's how they always strike me. So,
Yeah, like a concert shirt. Yeah.
mhm. All right. So how can people support the American Legal Technology Awards? We've talked a little bit, but is there anything else that you would like to pull out about that?
Well, we're having our event in Austin, Texas, October 6th, which is the Sunday before the Clio Cloud Conference starts. And you can check out more details at americanlegaltechnology.com. And we're going to be coming out with the finalists pretty soon. It'll be a rocking good time in Austin. And yeah, if you'd like to learn more, just check us out there. But yeah, americanlegaltechnology.com.
Awesome. And if people would like to reach out to you to learn more about LawDroid, would you, I guess, want to give your website? I don't know that you want to put your email in a podcast, but that's up to you.
Sure. I mean, there's lawdroid.com, but one thing I really recommend to you is if you like anything that you've heard, I have a newsletter, lawdroidmanifesto.com, and I put out a podcast and articles weekly, although I have taken the past 2 weeks off. It's typically weekly that we have a podcast and article. And I try to go into a lot of depth to help people out about different concepts, prompt engineering, AI, hallucinations, like the whole gamut of things. And so I would love to see you there.
And I have to mention the American Legal Technology Awards Genius panels and other programming that you do as part of that series. If people want to learn more, that is a great place to learn from many of the experts in the field. I have continuously been impressed by the caliber of the speakers that you've had on those panels. So definitely check those out as well. And Tom always puts those on through his LinkedIn profile as one way to learn, but also through his newsletter as well. Um, Now for our final thing that we like to ask everybody that comes on the show, what is your favorite app right now? Or what tech tip do you have for our listeners?
Well, I do have a few favorite apps. There might be too many to talk about, but I think the tech tip to keep in mind is probably more important. And that's to, approach these tools with an open mind. I know that we're in the trough of disillusionment. I know that we have a lot of questions that we'll be working out over time, but to experiment, to jump headlong into experimenting with these tools, really trying them out. You could start with ChatGPT. It's a great one, or Claude from Anthropic is also, I think, even better for helping with writing. It's good at analyzing and putting things in a more human type of way. But I think just like that, by trying the two different things out, by experimenting, you're going to find out what works for you. And that's not going to be what works for me. So the number one piece of advice is to be curious and to experiment. And I think through doing that, we're all going to feel a lot better about AI.
Awesome. And it is certainly more approachable than it has ever been, with companies like Facebook putting AI into their search features and things, and Microsoft's being available on the Edge browser. There's just so many ways for people to try something out without having to even go to the step of creating an account or something. So definitely, I think that experimentation is a great tip for our listeners. Well, that brings us to the end of today's episode. So thank you so much, Tom, for being here with us. I hope that people will enjoy learning about LawDroid and learning about the American Legal Technology Awards. And I hope that it sparks some interest and that they reach out and get some more information. And everyone out there, I hope you have a great afternoon.
Thanks, Shelley.